Welcome back to another episode of I Don't Want a Divorce, where we are passionate about helping people who are in a marital crisis. Does your spouse want out of your marriage for bogus reasons? Have you sinned seriously and driven your spouse to want a divorce? Are you living with an abusive spouse? Are you divorced and need to heal and recover? If you said yes to any of these questions, I can help you. I have podcasts and books that specifically address these situations. After 35 years in practice, I've got a plan for every situation. I've got a book for every marital crisis, every situation. It'll be a clear biblical plan of action. You can also do a 45-minute phone advice session with me. 70% of my practice now is phone advice sessions. I'll talk to you one time, two times. It's $200 for 45 minutes. Normally, you'll follow up if you need to with a local counselor. But this can help you, and I get the background. I'll give you a specific plan of action. A lot of counselors are well-meaning, but they'll take forever getting around. What do you think? How was your day? Look, you need to be following a plan, and pretty quickly following a plan that may hopefully save your marriage. I have a lot of folks that call in. They're seeing a Christian counselor or their pastor or some helpful person, and they're not getting the help they need. They want a second opinion. That's what I'm for. I'll tell you what I think and what I think God wants you to do. Now, for all my resources, go to my website. It's all there, davideclarke.phd.com. That's Clarke with an E, davideclarke.phd.com. This website created by the unparalleled, the excellent Dugas Creative, helmed by the CEO, my son-in-law, Phil Dugas. If you like the website, you'll like his work. Now today, I continue my series based on my new book, I Didn't Want a Divorce, Now What? Today's topic, how to handle younger children after the divorce. Critical, obviously very important for all of you moms and dads. After a divorce, how do I deal with my younger kids? I just finished a phone advice session with a recently divorced woman. I told her she was making a critical mistake in her post-divorce parenting. It's a mistake I often see. She wanted vindication in the eyes of her children, and they were still in the home. She wanted her children to understand the terrible pain their father had caused her during the marriage and divorce. She wanted her children to be angry as she was at their father, which of course isn't possible. She wanted her children to be on her side, 100% on her side. She wanted her children to be closer to her than to their father. To achieve these goals, she was telling the children the details of their father's hurtful actions during the marriage and divorce. She was expressing her anger and deep hurt to the children and leaning on them for emotional support. These are not adults, they're kids. She was limiting her ex's ability to communicate with the children. She was asking them to not spend time with their father. She wanted to punish him. She was pressing the children to cut off their father and only have a relationship with her. I told her to stop this approach. Immediately, I warned her she was doing serious damage to her children and her relationship with them. I said to her, you are pushing them closer to their father. That's what you're doing. I said, God will vindicate you in his own way and in his own time. He's the God of justice. Because very often when you get divorced, and she had been divorced for bogus reasons, and her husband was a dirtball, frankly. But you know what? That happens. You can't turn the kids against him. That'll end up backfiring on you. Your job is not to punish him. God's going to take care of that. Look, he's still their father. I told her, and I'm telling you. Or mother, depending on your situation. No matter how selfish, rotten, and sinful your ex was, and probably still is, he's still your children's father. They cannot see him the way that you do. They can't. They're kids. The position of wife and child are poles apart, or husband and child. Especially for younger children, 18 or less, dad is dad. Their emotional well-being, their identity, their self-esteem, and their view of the world is shaped by their relationship with their father. That's how important he is. Dirtball or not, your children are simply unable to quickly grasp the entire truth about their father. And even if they could, it would traumatize them and stunt their psychological and psychosocial development. It would actually harm them. They have to figure it out over time. If you take the approach with younger children I cover in this podcast, and I hope you do, you'll protect your children and protect your relationship with your children. And in time, there's a good chance they'll figure out the entire picture and realize the truth about their dad. What you want your children to eventually say is, I love my father, but this is the truth about him. Now, I can understand, and probably so can you, this client of mine, this lady who I was talking with on the phone, how she felt in wanting to punish him and wanting to set the record straight and wanting the kids to know right away the truth about him. She wanted to protect her kids from him, but that's not the approach to take. I say play the long game. With young children, you have to play the long game. In most cases, it will take years for your children to figure it all out. They will if you take these steps. Your long game begins by making 3 brief, direct, and honest statements of truth to your children. These statements are to younger children, ages approximately 7, 8 years old to 18 years of age. Deliver these in order about a week apart. Give the first statement. 7 days later, give the second statement. 7 days later, give the third. This gives them time to process in between. Put my words in these statements, of course, into your own words and adjust the language depending on the age of your children. Of course, insert the information that applies to your situation. It's best, if possible, to present the 3 statements in person to all your children in a group, those that are still home. Statement number 1, the truth about the marriage and the divorce. Here's the words that you'll say, words like these. In our marriage, kids, I made mistakes and your father made mistakes. We both are to blame for the marital problems. But it's important that you know that the divorce was 100% your father's fault, if in fact that was the case. Here, you can list your ex's actions that ended the marriage, not in detail, but the basic categories they do need to know. Here are some examples. Your father didn't want to be married to me anymore, and he filed for divorce. Okay, truth. And often the ex will not tell the kids this truth. You have to. Your father left home and was never going to come back. Your father was in a relationship with another woman. Now, no detail beyond that, but they have a right to know that. That's why we're not married. Your father called me names, criticized me constantly, got angry often, said terrible things to me, and refused to change. See, general categories, but truth. This will prevent your ex from blaming you for the divorce, and many of them will do it even though it's their fault. The Bible, again, another example of what you can say, the Bible teaches that I had a right to file for divorce because your father would not stop abusing me. If that was the case, you tell them that. You continue, I will forgive your dad for hurting me so badly. That's what the Bible teaches. I'm working on that now. It will take time, but forgiving him does not mean he and I will be friends. I'll do my best to get along with him for your sakes, but we won't be friendly. They need to know that right up front. We all need to heal and forgive and make a new life after the divorce. The way to do that is to talk about these things. It's hard for me to talk about it, and I know it's hard for you to talk about it, but we need to talk. See, even in giving this statement, you're talking honestly about the divorce, which models for the kids that they can talk about it too, with you if they need to, and they do need to. Again, you can say things like this. Again, if I see you upset because of something your father said or did, I will ask you to talk about it. If I hear about a lie that he told you, I will come to you and correct that lie with the truth. If you want to talk to me about dad and the divorce, come to me anytime and we'll talk anytime. When we have these talks, they will be completely private. I will tell no one what we talk about. At some point, I may ask you to go with me to a Christian counselor so we can talk through all the pain and sadness of the divorce and to talk about what life is like now after the divorce. Now, here's statement number 2. The truth about the divorce agreement. This is important. There was a divorce agreement you hammered out in court. Whatever's in that agreement is very important, and the kids need to know what's in there. So when your ex jerks them around and lies about the agreement, they know here's what it says. Again, this is you talking to your kids. Kids, I need to go over the part of the divorce agreement that talks about how your father and I will share time with you. Here, cover the specific custody and time sharing plan. The days of the week you will have them, which say their father will have them. The holiday schedule, school breaks, and summer schedule. That's why when he breaks the agreement, and many exes do, you can say, kids, as I told you, here's the agreement, your father's breaking it. Because he'll blame you. You continue talking to your kids, I will never try to interfere with your relationship with your father. That is between you and him. When it's your time to be with him, you can be with him. That's up to you. If you want to communicate with him when you are in my home, you can do it. You'll also say, kids, if you don't want to be with your father, if that's your choice, I won't make you do it. That's up to them. You can say Dad's parents, Grandma and Grandpa, so-and-so, will see you when you're with your father. You're not going to share time with them. You're already having your time limited with your kids. They could be the greatest grandparents in the world. Doesn't make a difference. You're not going to share with them. You continue, I will have as little contact with your father as possible. I won't talk to him in person or on the phone. I will only communicate via text or email, just so they know that. When I have to be in the same place with him, kids, I won't talk with him. I won't pretend to like him. I don't have to do that. I'll be civil. I'll be nice, but not friendly. I will have my behavior standards in my home, and your father will have his in his home. These standards will be different. All I can do is control what happens in my home. I won't ask you kids what happened when you were with your father. Not going to do that. You can tell me if you want, and we can talk about it. I hope and pray that when you're with your dad, you will choose to follow God's rules and not sin. If something uncomfortable happens, you're worried about it at your dad's home or when you're with him, let me know. Up to you, and we'll talk about it. If you ever want to talk about any of this, come to me anytime, and we will talk. Now, finally, statement number 3. The truth about life in your new home. There's a new reality. The kids have to know it. Life will never be the same. Here's what you can say. Words like this. Because I am now a single parent, and again, for the specifics, I recommend you get, I didn't want a divorce. Now what? And even get the paperback, because it's a manual, and you'll refer back to it many times. Because in the chaos and the difficulty post-divorce, it's helpful to have something in your hands. Because I am now a single parent, things will be very different in this home. I'll have less time and energy. I'll be more stressed and irritable. I'll ask you to please hang in there with me. I know it's hard on you too, so I will also hang in there with you. I'll need more help from you to make this home work. This is reality. You'll have to do more chores, and you say what those are. You'll have to do your own laundry. Tell them how often they have to do it. You'll have to do more food preparation and clean up after meals. Give them the specifics. You'll have to be more responsible for your schoolwork because I won't have the time to help you as much. I'll do my best, but you're going to have to be on your own there. I will have friends and family, and give the names of those people, helping me with babysitting, driving you to school and your activities, tutoring, and home repairs. You may have fewer activities and sports because I won't be able to make it happen. I don't know what your father is going to be able to do or not do. Then you'll say, because this is important, your relationship with God is the most important thing in life to me. So when you are with me, we will all go to church. What you do with your father on Wednesdays or during the week, during services or on Sunday, is up to him. And you'll say, I'll lead a once-a-week family devotion time. And you can find a family devotion instructional guide in my book, Parenting is Hard and Then You Die. Again, you're continuing. Here are the behavior standards I expect you to obey in this home, and you give the standards. When you choose to follow my standards, you will be rewarded. When you choose to not follow my standards, there will be consequences. Again, my book, Parenting is Hard and Then You Die, you can find that on the website, daviddclarkephd.com, Clarke with an E. Will give you, I think, a great layout for a consequences and rewards parenting plan. Now, the approach you must take with adult children after divorce is very different than the one you take with younger children. In my next podcast, I'll show you how to deal with your adult children following a divorce. Now, as I close, help us have more impact, if you will, and help more and more people by subscribing to my podcast and leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. That will help us continue to expand our base of operations, help more and more people. Will you do that? I'd appreciate it. Until next time, Dr. David E. Clarke, Clarke with an E, PhD,